Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the Resume Writing Q&A, Perfecting the Law School Resume presentation. This is a Q&A session that was widely requested just on the heels of a lot of students know that to submit applications for law school, you are in fact required to submit a resume. But a lot of people don't really know what to put on it, how much, how little, what's really something to avoid putting on there. So this is the opportunity to go through and highlight some really important information that should be on there. A lot of it is going to be, I don't want to say common sense, but a lot of it's going to be common practice, if you will. But some of it is probably going to be a little bit more unique and nuanced to both the legal profession and also specifically to the academic resume portion. So let's just jump right in. I wanted to include a sample resume. This is by no means perfect. I don't think there is such a thing as a perfect resume. And I will show you later that I did put a little trap in there for you just to see if you notice it. So hopefully if you can pause this video and take a look at the resume and see if you can catch the situation that I'm talking about. But otherwise, I will call it out a little bit later. But structurally, this is what you want to go for within the legal profession. And when we talk about academic references, we don't need crazy templates where your picture's included and it's pink and green and blue and purple and all that stuff. It really needs to be clean, organized. You need to have your information laid out in a way that is easy to read, easy to understand. Anytime a person wants to get a little bit of extra information, they can just simply scan through and find that information. Otherwise, they're just going from point to point to point. And this resume does that. It's definitely one that I think will allow your admissions committees to review your information in a clean, clear, and concise way. So let's break this down. First and foremost, education. I hate that it's a little blurry. I apologize. I try to do screen grabs. It goes without saying, they want to know where you've been to school. Some people ask, do I need to put everywhere? Yeah, you need to put the institutions that you've been to. But if you choose to abbreviate this section, then you absolutely need to at least put the degree granting institutions that you have. So if you got an associate's degree from Collin Community College, but you chose to go to a four-year institution to get your bachelor's, put both Collin and the four-year institution. There is a question of, do I have to put my GPA? I would say if it's a very, very strong GPA or even a moderately strong GPA, put it. But here's the thing. If you're going to put a GPA for one institution, you need to put it for both. If you're going to omit it for one, you need to omit it for both. Otherwise, it just raises questions that don't need to be asked. They do have access to your transcripts, so it's not like you're hiding anything. But again, for consistency's sake and just for ease of access to information, if you're going to put it, then put it for everything. Do you need to put everything that you've ever done at that institution underneath education? No. But if there is something that you want to highlight that is unique to that institution, then I would suggest putting that under education. For example, this student was a participant in the Distinguished Bill Archer Fellowship Program. That's something to go ahead and highlight in and of itself within education. But your organizations, clubs, activities, honors, those can go in a section all on their own, actually. And I will get to that momentarily. But again, you want to make sure that your education is clearly laid out. Don't have it a jumbled mess. If you don't have a need to put bullets, don't put bullets just for the sake of it. You do need to put when you graduated. You don't have to put when you matriculated. So and that means when you started. So if you started, so this sample student graduated May of 2015, but let's say that she started in May of 2001, and through circumstances in life, she just did not finish when she wanted to. So no, you don't have to put that you started August of 2001. And again, they're going to have your transcript, so they're going to see that. And if it's something of concern, you can always write a GPA addendum or an addendum of some kind explaining the gap in the education process. Or if it's a GPA situation that you're not happy with, you can explain the GPA in the addendum as well. But certainly nothing to, you don't have to worry about including the fact that it took you, 14 years to go through your process on this resume. Real estate on the resume is precious, so you want to use it wisely. Okay, professional experience. This is the common practice portion of the resume. You do want to put anything that you've done that is paid or unpaid. Okay. So if you worked at the Gap and you also you teach your church's youth program every week, or you volunteer with another organization, those are things that you do want to actually put if it's something that gave you some good professional experience. So let's say you, taking it back to the church example, let's say you worked unpaid, but as the secretary of your church or religious organization for several months out of the year. It gave you clerical experience. It gave you customer service experience. It gave you filing experience, all kinds of things that you needed to do for that experience. That's considered professional experience, and you can put it down even though it's unpaid. Hillary Clinton for president is the example here. This student has never had any actual work experience. So the thought was, oh my goodness, what do I put? Well, you actually did work on the campaign there, and you did quite a bit. So because they did quite a bit, it's definitely something that's worth noting. And even though it was clearly just for a few months, again, it's definitely worth reporting. Yeah, let's say it's a summer position or a seasonal position that you only work in the summers, put that. Especially if you worked during college while you were earning credits, that's something that they need to know. They need to know that you are a well-rounded candidate. And that's why, they really want to see whether you're doing something paid or unpaid. Internships can go here. Does it have to be law-related professional experience? No. Like I said, if you worked for Walmart or JCPenney or the Gap or whatever, that's experience. Internships, does it have to be a law-related internship? No. If you worked at, I can't think of a business now. Lockheed Martin. Let's say you did an internship for Lockheed Martin through the College of Business because you're a business major. And then the next summer you did a short stint at the law office of Bailey and Gallion. Do you omit Lockheed Martin in favor of Bailey and Gallion? No, you put them both, because both are experiences that you had, both happened while you were in college, and both are reflective of the diversity of experiences that you've had while you were pursuing your education. I do often encourage students, if you were doing an internship or a job during the semester or while you're actually getting the credits, highlight that you were working that position during the fall semester while you were gaining credits. That way they can see that, especially if you have a pretty solid GPA, you were pretty busy. You were doing a lot of things in addition to getting solid grades, but it also helps to mitigate a lower GPA. So if they understand, you only had a 3.0, but you've been working and you've had to put food on your family's table, it helps them to get a clear picture of who you are as an applicant. So include all experiences. When you start to run out of space, that's when we can start to cut things out a little bit. So I'm going to backtrack. How long does the resume need to be? Does it need to be one page? No, your professional resume is encouraged to be one page. But your academic resume, the resume that you're going to submit to law school, that can be 2 pages, 3 pages. I don't like 4 page resumes. I feel like at a 4 page resume, you're putting too much fluff in there, or your descriptions are a little too long and need to be pared down. But a 3 page resume is just fine. 2 page resume is just fine. So don't feel obligated to condense it down to 1 page. For example, for this example, for the sample resume, the person did not have as much experience to fill out more than 1 page. So a clean, concise 1 page resume was perfectly appropriate. But if you've got a lot of experience and you've done a lot of things, put it. I definitely think that that is something that is important to know in this process, that it does not have to be limited to 1 page. Now, if in the application itself, the law schools actually specify do not submit a resume more than 2 pages or more than 1 page, pay attention to that and make sure that you abide by that, because they are looking for whether or not you are capable of reading and following instructions. So if it is noted, make sure that you follow their instructions. But if it's not noted, it's perfectly appropriate and standard common practice to submit a resume that's 2-3 pages if you need to. One thing that's also important, in a different version of this sample, I included more examples of what not to do. I did find that it was confusing for students. So instead, I'm just going to reference what not to do. If you, let's say, the campaign was actually called HCP headquarters, or you worked at HCP headquarters, Hillary Clinton for president. Instead of putting HCP headquarters, if there is something to understand there, go ahead and put Hillary Clinton for president headquarters. Or if there's a specific set of duties that you had that are abbreviated in that field, try not to put the abbreviation, or if you put the abbreviation in a parenthetical, explain what that abbreviation means. Because if a person that's reviewing your application is not in that industry, not in that field, they have no idea what you're talking about. And when you're talking about a professional reference or resume, you are submitting a resume usually to the field in which you're applying, that your experience reflects. So if you say SJQ, they know what you mean by SJQ because it's industry specific term. But in your law school resume, they don't know what all of these acronyms and abbreviations mean. And they see countless abbreviations, and some have actually stated to me it gets annoying and frustrating because they don't know what that means. And it could be something very important, very special that you're sharing with them, but they don't know how to interpret it because they don't know what it means. So make sure that you're as clear as you possibly can be. Do you put high school work experience or education or anything from high school? The answer is no. Now, if you did something that's exceptional in high school, you had the Presidential Medal of Freedom, or you're the poet laureate in sophomore year, something like that, that's something to put. But if it's nothing remarkable, and I mean truly remarkable, you really don't need to put anything from high school. And in fact, you are strongly encouraged not to put anything from high school on your academic resume here. Okay, moving forward. Campus leadership. So this can be several different categories. It can be extracurricular activities. It can be campus involvement. It can be volunteer activities, whatever it is that you want to put, a student organization section, however you want to categorize it, whatever header that best captures all the information that you want to put in here, that's the one that I would suggest. And you're always welcome to shoot your emails with your resumes to me. I love looking at them and reviewing those and helping you fine tune those. So I strongly encourage, if you're not certain about any aspect of this, you can shoot me an email and I can take a look at your resumes. But here the student chose to put campus leadership. UT Arlington Pre-Law Society, UTA Student Congress. Does it matter that they put UT Arlington in one and UTA in another? No, not at all. It doesn't really make a difference. It's assumed it's the same institution, especially when you go down and look at the description. It says President of the University of Texas at Arlington. So it's clear that UTA is still UT Arlington here. With the description bullets, do you need this many? Not necessarily. I think it also depends on the total length of your resume. If there was a lot that you did, I put it, that's fine. And we can always edit it down if we see that it's getting a little too long. And that's pretty easy to do from a third party standpoint. I can help with that. But you do want to put what it is that you did for the the organization. So here, what I would suggest the student do, it doesn't quite capture. It doesn't quite capture that the student was a member for several years in these institutions or programs. So you're going to be student body president for a year, but let's look at Pre-Law Society. Before they were president, odds are they were a member or committee chair or something else. So what you would do in that situation, you would put president May 2014 and 2015, financing chair 2013 and 2014, and then you put member 2012 to 2013. So that way it's represented how long you're a part of that organization. That's an option for if you have several, if you've had several positions within the organization. Alternatively, you see where it says January 15th to the present, you would put January 2012 to present or January 2012 to 2015, however you want to do it, to capture that you've been a part of the organization for however long. Okay. Going backwards a step, let's say you have several pieces of experience under here. Let's say this says the Gap, and you worked at the Gap for 5 years. But while you were at the Gap, you were a sales associate for 2 years. You were a sales lead for 1 year, and for the other 2 years, you were a shift manager. So you would do it the same way. You would list all of those items out underneath the company, and where it's highlighted here or italicized here, that's where you would put your various titles, and you'd put the length of time that you served in each position. It's a quick and concise way to address that you had various positions and roles. And if you're trying to put descriptions of what you did and you're running out of space, you can just put the description for what you did when you were at your highest role in the organization or entity. Alternatively, you can put as sales lead, I blah, 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 as president, I blah, 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 as shift manager, I blah, blah, blah. You can put descriptively what you did as those positions in a bulleted format. It's nice and organized. That way the reader can know what's going on. Okay. There's no limit to what you can put on here, as long as it's something that you've done while you've been receiving collegiate credit. And it's not exclusive to your degree granting institution. So let's say you're president of Pre-Law Society at Collin College while you were there in the example that I gave earlier. And then you went on to join the moot court team at TCC, and then you did several things and came on and did that at UT Arlington. You can put all that. And as I mentioned, extracurriculars is extracurricular, so you don't have to limit it to just campus. If you volunteer with your church organization and you're not doing it for professional experience, so let's say instead of being a secretary at the church, you work at Vacation Bible School once every summer. You do that, or you work with Habitat for Humanity, Meals on Wheels, or your church group does mission trips. These are extracurricular activities that you would put under this particular section. So distinguishing from professional experience, if it's not something that you've done for professional experience for a fairly reasonable amount of time, don't put it under professional, put it under extracurricular. Okay. I think that section is pretty well covered. So this is another distinction that is unique to academic resumes. You are going to put special involvements, honors, awards, things that are worthy of distinction or things that make you worthy of distinction, and put them here. So it includes, for example, the Haynes and Boone AT&T mentorship program. Everybody can't necessarily participate. It is offered to students on a GPA basis. So if you have a GPA of a certain level, then you can participate in the program. Being a participant of an honors program or initiated into an honor society. Ideally, you would put that under student organizations, but if it's something where you just want to reference that you got a chance to do it, you can put it under honors. If you, let's say you got some scholarships, right? You got a full tuition scholarship from this institution. You got a book scholarship from this person. You got the dean's scholarship here. You got the scholarships are fantastic to put here. Those types of accolades show a track record of success. And that's the main thing that you want to show with your resume, is that you are a person with a track record of success. And scholarships are a great way to do that. You don't need to put grants. I wouldn't necessarily put, federal grants here. I don't think that those are the type of scholarships that you need to put, but something, an essay writing contest, or, through UTA, we have the Wayne Watts Scholarship. You absolutely want to put that you're a Wayne Watts Scholar. If you apply for the Sidley Scholars Program and get that, you're a Sidley Scholar, put that. Dean's List, President's List, all that. Every time you get an honor like that, you want to put it. If you were on the Dean's List multiple semesters, put that you were on the Dean's List multiple semesters. Spring 2014, fall 2015, spring 2016, and fall 2016. Put all of them. It's okay that you weren't on the Dean's List every single semester, but every semester you were on there, it's worthy of recognition and accolades. So yeah, and you can also put Employee of the Month. It doesn't just have to be academic honors and awards. It can be professional honors and awards as well. So those are things that you want to make sure that you're putting down. Now, the little flag that I mentioned at the very beginning of this presentation was that there is a typo here. Haynes and Boone is spelled so wrong. So you definitely want to, and I left this in the sample to remind myself to always tell you it's very important to proofread your resume. Very, very important to proofread it. When you're going through and you're proofreading your resume, it's important also to have someone else look at it. It's important to have a second pair of eyes, because just like with every other piece of your application package, you've been looking at this document for however long it took you to draft it, proofread it, redraft it, proof it again. And our eyes get sleepy, but they also become accustomed to what we intend to say and not necessarily what we've said. So make sure that you have a second pair of eyes that can look at it and catch some of these errors, because the last thing you want is to submit an error-filled document in any stage of the process to law schools. You are touting that you have great attention to detail and that you can review documents and be a great lawyer. And last thing you want is to show that you can't pay attention to detail. So double check that. All right, and professional skills, it's hit and miss. You don't always have to put professional skills. I'm not a huge fan of professional skills, because sometimes a lot of the things that you are listing are common skills or those things that you don't need to waste that very, very important resume real estate on. However, if there are any skills or experiences that you would like to note or make sure that the law schools get a chance to pay attention to, you can put it on there. So ability to successfully utilize social media tools such as Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. I would highlight that you do so in a professional setting, or I would say social media tools such as Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn for marketing purposes. I would highlight the uses. That way it's not just like, oh, she's good on Twitter and Instagram and posting selfies. You are doing so for professional experience and marketing purposes, and touting it as a skill set. Same thing if you're doing it for professional resume. You want to make sure that you highlight its purpose, or the actual purpose that you used it for in a professional setting. Again, I'm not too crazy about this section. This one is take it or leave it, but if you have anything that's special that you want to highlight or point out, you can put it on there. Now notice, if we go back just a couple of slides, I don't have in this sample an objective section. You don't need it. I mean, objective to get into law school and be fabulous for the rest of my life, right? That's the objective that everybody has. It's unnecessary. An objective for a professional resume, that's a separate story. And a lot of times they'll want an objective because your objective is going to be that short summary of your cover letter. And the cover letter is a summary of your resume. So specifically for an academic resume, there's just no reason to waste that special important resume real estate on an objective. Notice that I did highlight, I keep saying highlight, embolden the name. I made it a little bigger. You need to put your name a little bit bigger than everything else. I think you should do that in a professional resume as well. You shouldn't have your name the same size as the rest of the font on the page. You want your name to stand out always. So charging back ahead to the final section, hobbies and interests. I did not include hobbies and interests on this resume. Do you include it? Should you include it on an academic resume? It's a personal choice. But I tell you, law schools actually welcome hobbies and interests. So if you are deeply into cycling, hiking, gourmet cooking, and a dog walking, go ahead and put it. It just, again, it adds an extra touch to you as a person so that they can see who you are. They can see what it is that you, that makes you you and makes you unique and special. I definitely think that it's worth it to put that if you've got some really cool things that you want to share about yourself. And I should say, even if it's not really cool, or maybe it's you nerding out on computer games or whatever, if you are the world leader in computer games, you can put that. If you're a world-class violinist, or not even let's say you're an award-winning violinist, or just a community violinist, that's something interesting to put. You know what I mean? If I can recall, several years ago, there was a student that had a lot of farming hobbies because their parents own a farm, and so periodically they would go to the farm and help out, and they put their farm experience on there. I mean, it was different. It was an interesting touch. So you're always welcome to do it. I think law schools never shun that information and really take kindly to it. I think it gives a better picture of who you are, but list real hobbies. Please don't make up anything. I was part of the ice capades, and then I went on to be in the Olympics, and and I also love fly fishing. All right, they may not catch you on some of that, but let's say you get an interview with a school, and the person interviewing you loves fly fishing, and that was actually part of one of the reasons why they chose to catch you for an interview. And they say, hey, what's your favorite kind of bait with fly fishing? And you have no response because you've never been fishing in your life, let alone fly fishing, right? So oopsie, you just messed up a golden opportunity to get into a great program because you lied. And I think that goes for anything on this resume. Lord in heaven, please don't lie. Please don't make anything up. It's just not worth it. And you will get caught on it and you'll look and feel silly. So list real hobbies, please. No hobby is so silly that you shouldn't feel proud to list it. And if you don't want to list it, just don't list it. It's okay. Um, and with that, that's the conclusion of the resume writing workshop and how to really perfect the law school resume. If you have any additional questions, you're always welcome to shoot me an email with your question, or even shoot me your resume to have me take a look at it. Always happy to do that. But I definitely look forward to seeing your resumes, and hopefully this was very helpful for you all. Take care and good luck with your resume writing.